Well, it finally came today. This is my 5 Pro Studio Blitzway Carbotix Voltron. It's been delayed for over half a year, but I'm not surprised. This happens quite often with the high-end figures, and particularly now with all that's going on. Supply chain issues and whatnot. This is my second video I've done. The first one I'm not going to show because there were a couple issues on it. One of them was that I was complaining heavily about the fact that the figure could not stand on its own, and I discovered it was because I had a couple of pieces on the feet that I needed to move, and it gave it a nice amount of stability. So now it's perfectly fine. It's nearly 15 inches tall. One of my largest figures, not my biggest, but one of the biggest, and I would say the heaviest. This thing is a beast. It is heavy, super heavy. I'm not sure what the exact weight is, but I'll probably, maybe one of these days I'll get around to weighing it. But I'm going to guess around, oh geez, probably 12 pounds or so. I'm not even sure. It's an absolutely gorgeous figure. So this figure is easily my most expensive. The release price is $700. That's not an inflated price. That's the price. And I have both obviously put it together as Voltron and had it separate as the individual lions. And took me these kind of figures, and there's a reason I don't buy transforming figures and I don't buy combining figures. So this is a rarity for me. This is something special. First of all, I've had a lot of success with Carbotix figures, the 5 Pro Studios figures. So I've bought them all, so I decided to continue on with it and get the Voltron. And Voltron has some special meaning to me. I watched the cartoons when they came out in 1984. They didn't really make a huge impact on me, and I've never really had a great desire to go back and rewatch them, and I've never even watched the newer ones that I think are probably available on Netflix. But I remember back in the 80s, I saw a Voltron figure, and I probably could do a little research and figure out which one it was, and I really wanted that figure. But I didn't have the money, and my parents weren't going to get it for me, so I never got that figure. But this is probably going to be the new premier Voltron. I think that $700 is probably the highest price for a new figure. There's secondary market figures that might go for more, but for a brand new figure to be that high, that is incredible. And it's pretty amazing, the engineering on it. Not perfect, but it's pretty nice. So I give Carbotix, I can't compare it to any other Voltron because I don't own another Voltron. So here are some of the other ones. These are just recent ones that are still available. So let's see. Yeah, I guess these are really the only ones. So there's a $400 one. I think this one is probably just for sheer size. Well, it's 16 inches, so it's not that much bigger. POM and ABS. I don't know what POM is. So even at $400, it's still quite a bit less. Here's the Bandai. This is the one I probably had the most interest in buying, but I never pulled the trigger on this one. It's got pretty high marks for this one. I think this one is well regarded. It's a bit smaller, 10.6 inches. And you could see that the legs are all kind of exposed. Here they're hidden under some panels. So a little bit nicer. The figures, they're pretty similar. I'm not going to go through and analyze each one, but one that's coming out, looks like it's coming out any day, is a 3-0 figure. So this one's 300. But I'd say probably this will probably be the last Voltron figure I own. I actually do have one other Voltron figure that I'll show eventually, which is the Lego Voltron, which is actually larger than this one, quite a bit larger. The Lego Voltron is pretty amazing because it can separate into the lions, and the lions can transform, and that one is nice. So Voltron is available on Amazon. Not for sale because it's sold out, or it's not available. Okay, so it's not available on Amazon. It is listed on Amazon, but currently unavailable. I know that at one point I looked and it was selling for something like $1,100. But then and I don't think it's sold out. I don't think anyone who ordered it on Amazon got it. And I heard, there's one of the questions down here mentioned that everyone who ordered it got their orders canceled. But I think it sounds like people are ordering it again. And Amazon does recognize that it's out because you can write a review. So I'll probably write up an Amazon review on this one. This figure is going to be, it will fit in my shelf. I do have a shelf that's big enough, and now that he can stand on his own, I don't need the brace. And the brace is actually, in my opinion, pretty terrible, because the brace, first of all, the stand is probably about 1.5 inches, so that would raise him up more. And then he's not held or gripped. He sits on top. It pegs in underneath here. There's a hole under there, and then it pegs in. And it's a plastic brace, and it's wobbly because this figure is so heavy. And I don't trust it. I mean, the whole point of a brace, I would say, is to brace the figure. But I would put more faith in him standing there than on that wobbly plastic brace that looks like it could snap. So I'm glad that I finally figured out how to make him stand properly, because then I can put him in my shelf. This is definitely the kind of figure, and this is what I was hoping for, is the type of figure that you could display and it looks like something that you might see in a museum, because it's just that gorgeous. So I transformed the green and the red, the blue and the yellow. I did not transform the black lion. So, you know, I get very nervous transforming these figures because there's always a chance of doing damage. So these kind of figures really bring me a lot of stress. So it really had to be something special. And it was a combination of the fact that it was a Carbotix figure and Voltron, which I've always wanted a premier Voltron. So I decided to go for it with $700, and that's what adds a lot more to the stress, is the thought of doing possible damage to a $700 figure. So, but it does look brilliant on a shelf. It does have some light up functions. There's batteries in the two heads down here, and there's a tab. You can see the tab there. Pull it out. I'm probably just going to remove the batteries, because my problem with light up functions is that if you leave the batteries in there for a couple years, 3-4 years, they will corrode and damage the figure. So rather than risk that, I'm not that into light up features anyway. So I will probably just get in there and pull them out. There are some challenges in the transforming process. But I don't think I damaged the figure at all. I did discover one of the legs is a bit wobbly in one of the in the green lion here, so that may be a manufacturer defect. He does have I don't have it showing here, but he does have the shield and his sword. Here are the pilots. Okay, and then also the pilots are inside. There is another pilot in each one of the lions. So if you open them up, you can look at them. There is definitely a lot of die cast, particularly in the. I don't think the arm lions contain any die cast, and that's a smart move because you want to keep the weight low. A lot of die cast. These the leg, feet lions are the heaviest. Well, the black is probably the heaviest. I'm sure it's the heaviest because it's the biggest. But there's a lot of die cast. All of this, the chrome in here, that's all die cast. Right down to the feet. The feet are plastic, but everything else is die cast. Die cast in here, other than the feet. And I imagine there's probably additional weight put into the feet in the interior. I can't see it, but they are so heavy. I think that's what they did. And you know, you need to do that when you have a figure that's this big and you're asking that much money for it. You don't want the figure to get damaged. So I think this is going to look really nice on my shelf, and will be very eye-catching. This is the kind of figure where I would like to go out and get another glass cabinet that would be able to, because it's going to need a shelf that's 15 plus inches high in order to hold a figure like this. And I do have one cabinet, but these are stressful figures because the thought of it toppling over can be scary. But if you have $700 and you want the premier Voltron figure, it is available right now, according to Big Bad Toy Store. It's available now. Does not appear to be available on Amazon, but I'm a little surprised that it didn't sell out, but that is a high-ticket item, so maybe that's why. Plus, there's a lot of competition. There are a lot of other Voltron figures, so, and those Voltron figures I showed in there only scratched the surface. There are tons and tons and tons of Voltron of all different price categories. All right, so there's Voltron.